The Zorathian High Council convened in the Grand Chamber, a space vast enough to house their species' greatest military minds. Gleaming walls pulsed with a soft, bioluminescent glow, casting long shadows over the delegates, each of them brimming with confidence. They had conquered a dozen star systems in the last century, subjugating races far more advanced than the upstart humans of Sol. The humans, began strategist Cal, his segmented mandibles clicking with disdain, are primitive. Their weapons are outdated, their technology rudimentary. They have barely begun to grasp interstellar travel. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. "We mustn't waste resources on them," said another delegate. "One swift strike, and they will crumble like all the others." The decision was unanimous. The Zorathian fleet would descend upon Earth, overwhelm its defenses, and claim yet another system for the Empire. It was supposed to be easy. The first wave arrived 3 weeks later. 50 Zorathian warships, each armed with enough firepower to obliterate a continent, positioned themselves above Earth's atmosphere. Their weapons hummed with anticipation as they charged, preparing to deliver a display of overwhelming force. But the humans responded in a way that defied logic. Instead of retreating or scrambling in chaos, they launched crude, outdated missiles. On the Zorathian sensors, the weapons appeared laughable, barely capable of scratching their shields. And yet, within moments, one of their warships erupted in a brilliant explosion. Impossible! Cal snarled as he watched the data stream. "Their missiles are primitive," interrupted his adjutant, blinking with alarm. "Sir, it appears they're using some form of adaptive targeting. Their systems are learning." Before Cal could respond, another warship was struck. Then another. The humans were coordinating their attacks, exploiting vulnerabilities faster than the Zorathian fleet could compensate. By the time the first wave retreated, it had lost half its ships. The High Council was in disarray. Cal stood before them, his usual confidence replaced with uncertainty. "Explain yourself," demanded Overlord Zixra. "How did a species so primitive inflict such damage?" "Their technology may appear unsophisticated," Cal admitted, "but their ingenuity is unparalleled. They adapt unpredictably." "Then we will not underestimate them again," Zixra declared. "Deploy the second wave. Send our dreadnoughts. Crush them utterly." The second wave arrived with overwhelming force. This time the Zorathians brought their largest ships, armed with planet-cracking weapons. Their fleet blocked out the stars, a terrifying display of power designed to break Earth's spirit before the first shot was fired. But the humans didn't wait for an attack. They launched a counteroffensive that left the Zorathians reeling. Earth's defenders used guerrilla tactics, employing small, nimble ships that darted through the massive Zorathian fleet, exploiting its size and unwieldiness. It wasn't just the humans' weapons that turned the tide. Their communication networks proved to be their greatest strength. The Zorathians couldn't understand it at first, encrypted signals that appeared to be nothing more than chaos. But the humans were coordinating with precision, sharing real-time strategies and adapting to every Zorathian move. The Zorathians didn't realize until it was too late that the humans' primitive networks were bolstered by something they hadn't accounted for: artificial intelligence. By the time the third wave was deployed, the Zorathians had begun to doubt their own invincibility. Hal, now stripped of his rank but kept on as a strategist, stood silently as his replacement. Commander Vrak outlined a new plan: targeted orbital bombardments to weaken Earth's defenses before any ground invasion. But even this strategy failed. The humans had anticipated the bombardments, constructing decoy facilities and heavily fortifying key positions. They used misinformation to lure the Zorathians into traps, forcing them to expend resources on false targets. And then the humans struck back in a way the Zorathians had never experienced: psychological warfare. They hacked Zorathian communication systems, broadcasting messages directly into their ships. It wasn't just taunts or threats. It was humanity's history, their culture, their art. Images of their greatest triumphs and darkest moments filled the screens of Zorathian vessels, accompanied by music that resonated in ways the Zorathians couldn't comprehend. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Zorathians felt something alien: fear. They are unlike any species we have encountered, Parak admitted during an emergency council meeting. They fight with a tenacity that defies logic. They turn every disadvantage into a strength. We cannot allow them to stand, Zixra hissed. If we retreat now, we show weakness to the entire galaxy. But the decision was no longer theirs to make. As the Zorathians prepared for yet another assault, a human fleet emerged from a hyperspace corridor on the edge of their home system. The humans had reverse-engineered Zorathian technology, improving it in ways that made it more efficient and deadly. The humans didn't demand surrender. They didn't broadcast threats. They simply attacked with the same relentless ingenuity they had displayed during Earth's defense. When the war finally ended, the Zorathian Empire lay in ruins. Their once mighty fleets were scattered, their homeworld occupied by human forces. The High Council was dissolved, its members forced to acknowledge their defeat. Cal, now a prisoner of war, sat in a dimly lit cell. A human officer entered, her uniform pristine, her expression calm but firm. You thought we'd be easy to defeat, she said, her voice tinged with a mix of pride and sorrow. But humanity thrives on challenges. Every time you pushed us, we adapted. Every time you struck us, we learned. Cal looked at her, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the harsh light. You are more dangerous than we ever imagined. The officer nodded. And now you know what happens when you underestimate us. Years later, the story of the Zorathian-human war became a cautionary tale across the galaxy. Humanity, once considered a backwater species, had proven that their greatest weapon wasn't their technology or numbers. It was their indomitable spirit. The phrase, "never underestimate a human," became a universal proverb, a reminder of what happened when an empire thought it could conquer the unconquerable.